Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan here today talking to you about the third house in this house series. So for the first part of this video, I'll talk about what the third house actually is, and then in the second part of the video, I'll give you an example of what's going on in my third house so that, we can reflect on it together and you can learn a little bit from me, and then you can share your own third house experiences by writing the sign that rules your third house and the planets that you have in your third house in the comment section below. I know that sometimes I don't have time to answer all the comments, but I really do read all of them, and I'm telling ya, I learned so much. You have no idea how much I learned by reading your experiences of your own placements in the comment section. And these learnings that I take from you guys, I use it for myself, and then I also put it out there and share it with other people so that they can also learn. It's a whole learning experience on this channel. Right, so yes, the third house. I call this the house of your mental style, but that does sound a little bit funny. So maybe we should call it the house of your cognitive process or your thinking style. So in the third house, we are aware, we have an awareness of our separate body and how it is separated from the environment around us, that we are not our environment. We are an individual in our environment. So we begin to question, what can we do in this environment? We want to play around with the environment. And how do we do that? We start by communicating and interacting with the environment. So we can do this by learning languages, acquiring languages so that we can interact. And the thing is that when we study languages, we need to study verb, noun, verb structures. So Sarah eats. Sarah is the noun, eat is the verb, obviously. So by doing this, we come to be able to distinguish between subject and object. And then we use this kind of thinking, out when we go about, and the way that we perceive our environment and the way we begin to form our cognitive processes. And I've heard that they say that with every language that we speak, our personality or our individuality changes. And I think it's true because I speak two languages. I speak Thai and English. When I'm speaking English, my personality is different from when I speak Thai because of the social, the cultural undertone of the language and the way that the language is parallel to the culture in which it belongs will cause us to adopt a different kind of personality with each language that we speak. The other really amazing thing about language is that it allows us to be able to imagine things that are beyond our immediate environment. We can't do that if we don't have language, right? So we move from the second house of our body and survival to the third house of our mind. Going up there. The planets in the third house can also point out our attitude to knowledge. So if you have moon in the third house, knowledge equals safety and security. Figuring things out, uncovering things and trying to figure it out brings you safety, brings you security. If it's Mars in the third house, kind of like knowledge brings you power or empowerment, all right? Early schooling is also associated with the third house because in early schooling, we learn how to assimilate information. It's when we really first learn to assimilate information. And the process of how we do this, how our mind is working when we are assimilating information becomes our practical truths about life. We think that life is a certain way because that's how our mind has worked. When we go about in experiences in life, we gather the information and our mind is working in that way. So we are perceiving life to be in the way that our mind is working. I hope that's making sense, guys. So, to quickly summarize, the third house is when we gain awareness of our environment, So we move on from the second house where we are aware of our body and the need to survive to being aware of the environment. So then what do? We perceive the environment in a certain way when we're aware of it, and then we begin to want to relate to our environment through the way that we are perceiving it. But how do we go about relating to the environment? We need to learn to communicate with the environment. So we learn languages, we learn body language, actual spoken language, all kinds of, languages that we use to interact. And so these processes, as a result, amounts to our mental style, our cognitive processes. It builds that up. So we then, it's kind of like a cycle. So then we go back and then we use this thinking style to continue to relate to our environment with that thinking style. Okay, so in my third house, it's empty, so it doesn't have any planets there, but it does have asteroids. So my third house is ruled by the sign of Leo. So I do have the asteroid Juno in Leo in the third house and the part of fortune in Leo in the third house. But okay, let's talk about the fact that I have no planets there first. Planets describe our actions, right? So by having the actions that we take in life, so by having no planets there, I don't necessarily put in the energy, all right, to do the things of my third house. But because I have these two, I have this asteroid and the part of fortune in there, there's a part of me, okay, that is very third housey, though I'm not necessarily taking the action to do third house things, okay? So because Leo is a fixed sign, right? I once went to an astrologer who I did not think was a very good astrologer, but anyways, he said something to me that stayed with me till today. He said that because I have Leo in my third house, he asked me, are you a bit arrogant in your thinking? Are you a bit stubborn? Do you always think that you're right? Like when you have an idea, are you like the kind of person that thinks that you're right, all the time? And I was like thinking to myself, maybe. But you know what? Maybe that's something I need to work on, And I have been working on that actually. When I was younger, I used to be very, very, being a Taurus, with the third house in Leo, can be a bit stubborn in a sense that I just don't really want to hear what other people have to say because I think I'm right. But with, of course, experiences in life, I realize that I'm not always right and I don't know everything, and that's okay. If I do know everything and I'm always right, then life would just be really boring because I wouldn't have to gain any more knowledge about anything. So anyways, yeah. So because my third house is ruled by Leo, so I'm gonna see where my sun is placed, all right? So my sun is placed in my 11th house. So what this is telling me is that, third house rules communication, sun is the center of everybody. In the 11th house, the house of groups and friendships and organizations. So I was never really born as someone who was very shy when it comes to like public speaking and things. And when I was in high school, I used to do a lot of public speaking. I was into drama and acting and those kind of things, and it was very natural for me to do it. I never had stage fright. I never felt shy in front of a large group of people. I don't know why, probably because my third house is ruled by Leo. But there is this thing where, because Leo is so like the king and Leo is so like powerful, and third house is the communication, right? So I find that when I speak sometimes, my voice can be very authoritative even when I don't mean to be. Like sometimes I'm trying to be really nice and I'm trying to be very like caring to people, but I don't know, my voice is just doesn't have that kind of flex or tonal quality to it where I sound like I'm compassionate or I sound like very caring, even though when I am sometimes, but it's just the voice is not coming out that way. So that's just something that's really funny about my voice. So without any planets there but having Juno and the part of fortune there, I can't really tell you much about these two, this asteroid at this point, because I haven't really done enough research on it, okay? But from the little amount of research that I do have on it, Juno is supposed to be considered the wife or the marriage asteroid. See, I'm not really sure which one it is, but maybe it's both. But because marriage is not really something that people do these days, you know. It's not like it was back in the olden days when people had to get married, so it could also be the asteroid of committed relationships. So this could mean that, it could either mean that when I'm in a committed relationship, I become like a Leo in the 3rd house. Or it could mean that the partner or the person that I should be committed to for my own happiness has to be a bit of a Leo with some 3rd house stuff. So somebody who can really communicate and really talk to me, and just having fun with communication, you know. So that would be a thing probably that would be good in my committed relationships. But I think the way Juno actually works better than just looking at it in your own chart is when you take 2 people's charts together and you do a synastry reading, which I might make a series on synastry. Kind of been really interested these days. But yeah, when you lay 2 people's charts on top of each other to find out their, you know, chemistry and things, and when you have that Juno point contacting another person's personal planets, like maybe Juno contacts their sun or Venus or moon, then that's when you kind of feel this need to commit to that person. So like I said, I'm not really sure how it works yet, but it's an interesting asteroid which I'll probably do a little more research on and then share with you guys. So the part of fortune. Now the part of fortune I also don't know so much about, but I do know that it is your ascendant, sun and moon combined together to show you, when you combine these 3, what is your talent? What is the part of you that is easy, okay? The talent that is easy to access. And because it is very natural for you to access this talent, it causes you to, like when you display it, it causes you draw good reward back to you, okay? It's not something you have to force yourself to do. It's not even something that you have to consciously learn or study. It's a part of your personality that is so natural that it shines and it attracts people to you. So having my power fortune in Leo in the 3rd house tells me that I want to be someone who can really voice my opinions, right? Who can really display mental strength, I suppose. Who can really communicate things to people that I truly believe in. That is what is natural for me to do, and that is something that is, not natural for me to do, but it's a natural talent that I have, and if I use it, then I can gain a lot of fortune because it's called the part of fortune. Okay. So guys, that's all I have to say today for the 3rd house. I kind of don't want to go on and on and on, but sometimes I just can't shut up, you know. Gemini rising, can't really shut up sometimes. Anyways, please leave in the comments below what planets you have in your 3rd house and what sign is ruling it, because I would love to learn from you guys as much as you can maybe take something from this video and learn from it. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel. But if you've already subscribed and been following me on these astrology growth journeys, then thank you very much. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!